Find your path with the knowledge of others and become an illuminator for those who struggle. Guide their way just by being true and being in alignment, because it comes naturally to you. On self-discovery wisdom, we share to find inspiration with lessons for millions. We hope you listen.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Welcome back to another edition of An Author's Kiss right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I am your host, Sarah Troy. My guest today is Anna Binder Reardon. We're going to be talking about a book that she has written, Wethersfield Road. It's a novel, but what's this novel all about? She says, lurking in the basement of her life is the ache of depression and the torment life of an addict. Meet Amelia, a character closely based on the tumultuous youth of Anna Binder Reardon. In Reardon's dramatization of her life at Weathers Road, it's a moving story of healing, and through all it all, Amelia and her besties are by her side. A bottle and a bong, a binge-purge cycle of risky hookups. She's the crust-faded chaos between a queen of nobody's dreams. Feeling lost, Amelia's connection with her horse, Hope, seems to be her last reason to stick around. But even that simplest love can't save her by herself. She topples into the shameful series of crash landings, from domestic violence to cringeworthy sexual encounters, drug-induced shame spirals. She can't catch a breath. A brutal engine wake-up call propels Amelia to rescue herself in a way that she can. She must first resist the dreadful setting of self-sabotage. And today we're going to be talking about that and mental health and the struggles. And very often it's kind of what we come here to experience, to go through, to discover our resilience, our strength, our courage, our abilities, and very often our meaningful purpose. But it's a damn rocky road, isn't it, Anna?
It sure is. Absolutely.
So you would say that this is a faction book, kind of based on fact, but fictionalizing the fact?
I've never heard faction. I love that. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's what my editor calls autofiction. It's autobiography, but it's fictionalized.
Yes.
The timeline is tweaked, characters' names are changed, events are dramatized, all kinds of stuff. So yes, it is absolutely faction.
I think in many ways, readers can digest that better. To read someone's story, excuse me, folks, some frog in the throat today. To read someone's story and know it all to be fact can be rather heavy. But when it's kind of once removed, that's the reason why we're drawn to these in movies and books and storytelling. It's the relatability. You're sharing my story.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually got the courage to share my story. So thank you for sharing yours, because it's actually a mirror of mine. And I think that's seeing ourselves in it, kind of once removed, is sometimes a good way of digesting what's going on in our own lives.
Absolutely. I think, we hear a lot based on a true story rather than the true story.
Yes.
And it gives us a little bit more freedom to relate and a little bit more freedom to experience maybe the pain being explored. And it certainly gave me a lot of freedom when I was writing, because it was this, okay, how honest am I going to be about how my brain works? And how much more honest could I be if I said, it's sort of how I think, but it's also how this character who's like a personification of me thinks.
I know from writing myself, my brother's a professional author, and many authors I've interviewed through the years, is they start off with a character in one way, and then the character takes over. And starts writing its own way. How much of your character took your experience that you're injecting and kind of either twisted it or took it somewhere you didn't even expect to go?
That's such a good question. One of my favorite authors, Tim O'Brien, he is big in magical realism, and he talks about how sometimes in order to tell the feeling truth,
Hmm.
you have to mix up the facts a little bit.
Yes.
So it was like this character who's based on me in my early 20s. As she started to kind of tell me how she was feeling, she did take over. She was
Hmm.
like, well, this is maybe what happened, but this is what it felt like happened.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
And sometimes we're too scared to go to those feelings because we're
yeah,
actually scared to fall back into them. So
sure.
giving it to a character to feel for you is
Yes.
actually kind of removing yourself from the onslaught of pain. And the character is expressing it where you're removed. It's weird as you're writing it, but I understand.
Yes, 100%. It's like, well, I don't know. It's her. It's not me.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't me. I never said that.
But that's where the kind of freedom comes in, isn't it? When you give it to a character, you know that, can I write this? This is so dark. And immediately goes to, what are people going to think? Are they going to judge? Are they going to? But if
Yeah.
it's what the character's going through and you're alluding to what you've gone through, it
Hmm.
then begs the question, can people who are reading it that are close to you ask you the question? Right? So, and if they're not comfortable, they're just comfortable with what's been said in the book, fine. But it
Yeah.
might be that door opener. I've always wanted to ask this, and Amelia said this. How much of it is you? And I
Yeah.
think in many ways that is that invitation for others to kind of see, even if it's not your story, somebody reading the book and knows it's somebody else's story. All
Yes.
right. And it's like, I know they're going through this as well. How
Hmm.
do I approach them? Or, I've just read this book and da 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 da. I'd love you to read it because I'd love to discuss it. It's a
Sure.
door opener.
Absolutely. It's absolutely a door opener. And, I think the thing about Amelia and about my own story is, she talks about mental health symptom whack-a-mole, where it's like if it's not the drugs and alcohol, it's the promiscuous sex. If it's
Hmm.
not the promiscuous sex, it's the binge purge cycle
Hmm.
and the food stuff. If it's not that, it's, whatever else. And I think that's so common with young women is like it's
Hmm.
not usually just one issue. It's like we struggle in these different areas, and watching Amelia struggle in these different areas has absolutely opened up really beautiful conversations with me and the people in my life.
Yeah. We have to understand addiction itself is a disease.
Absolutely.
What we're addicted to, right? Somebody could just be addicted to coffee, chocolate, binge
Hmm.
watching TV shows. It's all when you do something obsessively and
Yes.
or in a sense of out of control. All
Yes.
right. And it's that spiraling. And it for you, whether it was sex, drugs, binge, whatever it is was in front of you, was just the opportunity for that addiction to come out. When
Yes.
we start to realize that addictive nature, when we start to realize the destructiveness of it, how it's tearing us apart, then it becomes something of, do I really want to give this addiction power?
Yep. 100%. And that's such a, that word power
Mm,
is the crux of it, right? It's like, are we giving something else the power, something positive like hope, which is
hmm.
like what the story is based on? And or are we giving it to that fear?
Yes. And God, there's not a person walking this earth that hasn't got fear.
Oh,
But
yes.
we've got to understand what is the fear about? Because an awful lot of fear that we carry is either generational, dictational,
Hmm.
environmental,
Hmm.
right? Societal. It's all the fear that's imposed upon us rather than actually being our fear. How do we recognize what truly to be fearful about if we're living constantly in a state of fear because it's being imposed upon us?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think fear is something that, we're gonna have, right?
Mm,
I'm doing this daily journaling practice. It's like a 100-day challenge. And today the topic was fear.
hmm
And it talks about how it's not that you're not gonna have fear. I think it was Elizabeth Gilbert that said this to Suleika Jawad. And she put it in her book. She says, it's not that you're not supposed to have fear, it's that you have to have 1% more curiosity
hmm
than the fear.
Yes,
And I just loved that because it's not about
100%
doing
agree.
it
Mhm.
unafraid, it's about doing it afraid.
I call that the common sense fear. And that
Yes.
common sense fear is like, don't put your hand in the fire, don't walk in front of the bus, recognize dangers for where dangers are, but step over in wonderment, go and be exploratory. Take
Yeah.
your common sense fear with you. It will tell you there's a cliff there. Don't walk too close to the edge, but
Yeah.
you could go over to that tree, hold over to the tree, and then look over, right? It shows you how the fear is just a warning of danger. When you're
Yeah.
aware of the danger, then you look to avoid.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting. I've heard of addiction specifically referred to as our instincts far exceeding their purpose. Like
Mm,
we have these instincts to eat, connect, feel better. We have instincts for pleasure, we have instincts to avoid fear. But sometimes those exceed their
yes.
purpose. And so I'm afraid of literally everything, or I'm eating literally everything,
Yeah.
or I'm, trying to connect with inappropriate partners or whatever it is.
Yeah. And that's called spiraling when the fear's got hold of you and you haven't got hold of it.
Yes,
I feel that atmosphere, and we're in an atmosphere of fear right now.
yes,
We with the world leaders, we have no idea what's going to happen at the
Mhm.
end of the day, never mind tomorrow,
a hundred
right?
percent.
And we have to understand that for many of them, the agenda is keeping us in fear because when you're in fear, you're in control.
Yes,
When the hysteria is out there, that's when reasoning goes,
yes,
right? So we have to look at fear in the eye sometimes and go, okay, are you just something that's ricocheting off the wall? Or are you something that truly I have to acknowledge? And that is taking the breath and being still with oneself and truly looking at it. What are you? Are you coming from me or are you coming to me? Can
yeah.
I reject you? All right. Or is this something I need to pay attention to?
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that because so much of the fear that we have in our just everyday lives today is meant to, not only keep us from reasoning, but also
Mm.
to keep us from connecting with others.
Yes.
It's that isolating.
Yes. I don't trust you. Oh,
Yeah,
you're in for an agenda. Ooh, yeah, exactly.
100%. And it's so interesting when you think about that in terms of addiction
Yeah.
because they say that the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah.
So I think
hmm
that's really interesting to look at it that way.
What I mean, addiction is a fear of connecting
Mm.
because it's a fear of rejection,
Yep.
but it's also a numbing of pain that we don't know how to handle.
Hmm.
And I think, 30 years ago, I was given fibromyalgia. And
Mm.
it's not fun. I'll admit it's not fun. And especially as you get older, it kind of, gets a little heavier. But I learned a
Absolutely.
long time ago, it's not going anywhere. It's the
Mm.
disease you manage. It's not a curable because they're still questioning what
Yeah.
it is and what to do with it even now. It's something that you have to partner with,
Yes.
right? And I know that I look at it and I know that if I go and do A, B, C, and D, I'm going to get wackaroo. Now, if I pay attention to the signs that says, no, don't do that, or you need to take time out, or you need to say no to that, I need to listen to it
Mhm.
because then it supports me on what I do want to do.
Yes,
And I think
absolutely.
it's like the same with fear. And I think I was given it, cosmically to slow down because my energy was just not only ADD energy, but spiritual energy was too much.
Mm.
So it was to there dampen, bring me down to a level where I could communicate with.
Yeah.
But it's also an understanding of other people's pain, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. We've all carried something. And it's for us to look at it not as the enemy, but as the teacher.
I love that. And that's something that Amelia really learns in Weathersfield Road is
Hmm.
like everything is either a blessing or a lesson.
Yes.
It's either there to teach me something or add something.
Yes.
And once we have that level of acceptance
Hmm.
and kind of, as you said, partnering with that thing that maybe is uncomfortable, that's where the magic happens, really.
And that's magic is what we're meant to experience. But how would we know what is magical if we didn't know what was tumultuous?
Sure, sure, absolutely. And that's in Weathersfield Road, there's this thing that Amelia starts to connect with as she gets sober, as she
Mhm.
starts to get well and kind of become more grounded in reality. She starts to connect with the magic that's around her, and she calls it the fog, which is
Mm.
forces of good.
Mm.
And as she starts to connect with the fog, she sees it in the wind, she sees it
Yes.
in the birds, she sees
Yes.
it in the ocean, whatever it is. And she starts to see the magic that's just already there around her. And it's things like gravity, things like
Mm.
wind,
Mm.
all of that stuff.
Talking my language now because, the wind is there to propel us, but also to clear us.
Yes,
The
and you can't
water,
see it.
you
You
can't
can't see
see it,
it.
you feel it. Everything is about feeling. You feel it when
Yeah.
it blows through your hair or if it's pushing you behind your back. It's the
Mhm.
same with water. Water doesn't just cleanse, but it changes. It's a
Yeah.
current
Yes.
and it is a conductor.
Hmm.
All right, so it can actually change the current because we're water as
Yeah.
well. And when we mix those two waters together, it can change our current trajectory, right?
Hmm.
And when we walk on the land amongst the trees, especially with the breeze rustling the leaves and then the ocean lapping the shore, and you're hearing the laughter and the joy of children and dogs and people as they're immersed in nature, that's when you truly come out of the fog. And
Absolutely.
that's when you really do connect. And when you make those connections, it is like for the first time you're truly seeing clearly.
Yes, absolutely. There's this scene where Amelia comes home from rehab and she's in her house. She's at the front of her house on Weathersfield Road, which is that's the real street that I was in my 20s. I lived on that street and the house kind of had these magical healing properties that
Mm.
I think and so that's why that's the title of the book. But she's standing in the front of her house and for the first time she's like, huh. Other people live on this street. I'm not the only person alive. That's crazy. It's just that awareness.
That's a true showing of coming out of addiction because
Absolutely.
addiction is very self-centered and selfish, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a true sign when you start recognizing there's other
Yes.
people around.
Other people live here. That's cool. Yeah. 100%.
But as you said, finding that magical space, whether it's a house, a meadow, a space, or space, ultimately we want to find that space within ourselves.
Mm,
But sometimes we need the space around us
yeah.
that gives us that security to go in and find that peace and space within us. And
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
environment's very important, isn't it?
Absolutely it is. And that's really a theme in the book is
Mhm.
so Amelia, and this is a conversation I had with a real therapist when I myself went to rehab. She was a brilliant therapist and I was talking about how, I've always wanted to be one of those girls that everyone paid attention to and thought was
Mhm.
pretty and cool and all the things.
That's the
Um,
societal dictation. Yes, yeah.
Exactly. Yes, I wanted to be that girl. And I was explaining this to my therapist in the rehab center, and she said, Anna, is it possible that you've been trying to be an amusement park when
Mm.
really you're a national forest?
Wow, I love that. Wow.
And I was like, that really resonates, but I don't know why. So we talked about it a little more.
Hmm.
And she was talking about how is it possible that you're something more natural, more free, more, not everyone's cup of tea, but something
Yes.
that grows wild. And that's a theme in the book. And I actually have these bracelets. I'd love to send you one if you want one that
Yes,
says
yes, yes.
National Forest Vibes. It's part of my
Mm.
merch that I give out with books. So yeah, that environment, that kind of more natural environment, and animals are a huge theme in
Oh,
this
yeah.
book, and how they connect us with that kind of more natural energy.
Yes. Because they are heart and soul.
Yes,
Right?
there's no ego.
No ego at all. There's just that purity. But I love that. Are you the amusement park or the forest? And I was the amusement park.
Oh,
It
me
was,
too.
make an idiot out of myself because I got a laugh. Got
Yep,
attention, wrong kind of attention,
yep,
and that comes from my own journey where it's like, can you see me? Uh,
yes,
and do I
yes.
count? Right?
Do I
Um, do
exist?
I exist? Because I was looking for that existence through other people's eyes
Yes,
and approval rather
yes.
than through my own. And it's only in the forest when nature becomes
Mhm.
the force of energy, the force of truth. I mean, I always say, why can't we be more like a forest? A
Absolutely.
forest doesn't care if you're an elm or a willow or a this or that, you're a tree.
Yep.
And the matrix and the wonder fiber optics of the are talking to each other. Every living thing is connected. And when a tree goes down, it isn't discarded. Life grows from it and
Yes.
provides a place for something else. Or you see from an old tree, a new tree spurting out from the middle. It
Yes.
is that every single thing in the forest, although it looks still and looks like nothing is ever happening, is abundant with life, and it doesn't waste life. Every bit of life is embraced at
Yeah.
every level of growth and the communication. And I'll share a quick story. I was walking my dog one day, going down a street of just trees, and by the side, and it was slightly windy, but not that much. And the
Mhm.
leaves were rustling like loud. And I said,
Yeah.
"Stop all talking at once. I can't hear you." Every tree
Mhm.
stopped moving. Every leaf stopped. It went
That's
completely
incredible.
still. And I said, now what do you want me to hear? Right? And it's like we've got to understand nature is so much more superior because it doesn't have an agenda or ego,
Yes.
right? And if we choose to tune into it and embrace that wild side, which doesn't mean out of control, it just means in tune with nature.
Yes. 100%. 100%. I'm trying to find this quote from the book that I think you would really, really like. I'm searching the word to try and find it. In the Oh, I'm gonna be so mad if I can't find it.
It's
It
okay. It'll come. You'll
it
find it there.
it will come. Um, it's basically about oh, here it is. So it says, as Amelia made her way out of the stables and back to her car, she looked across the expansive green field beyond the arena, a patch that appeared to be shimmering in the brilliance of golden hour. The sky was lit by glittering low-angle sunlight, and birds soared across the horizon, pausing their wings in midair, letting the breeze simply carry them where they needed to go. The smell of hay and earth tethered her body to the ground, just as the invisible wind held the birds on the sky. For a moment, she thought of how nice it would be to share this moment with someone she loved, someone who she saw as a partner, someone who wanted to have sex with her and then not forget her. The next thought didn't even feel like her own. The view was just as beautiful with no one there to confirm it. It was like that old saying, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it really make a noise? Of course it did. Just because she was experiencing something wonderful and beautiful alone didn't mean it wasn't happening. Just because no one was in love with her didn't mean she was unlovable. Even if she wasn't bearing witness to it, the birds would still be airborne and the field would still exist. In that moment, her five senses were enough.
Mm. And going to the statement, I wish there had somebody here that I love to share it with. You do. Your inner
Yes,
child, your inner soul and heart, you're sharing it with your divine self.
100%. Your inner
Yeah.
whatever.
hmm Exactly.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And what a beautiful picture that paints there. And I think, when we look at anybody's story, no matter what it is, and there's I've interviewed an awful lot of people that are highly successful, top of the game CEOs, and no time for life until the Cosmic
Yeah.
2x4 came along and gave them the whack room. They've either lost everything or had to redirect. And then they suddenly understand that one of the most precious commodities they've ever had and didn't have was time. And
Yes.
it's what we do with our time. And it's when we actually give ourselves time, time to feel, whether we like the feeling or not, time to lay ourselves out before us and really look at what's serving us and what isn't, what's
Mhm.
being imposed on us that we can remove. How do we truly want to feel, and are we allowing that inner child to feel it? When we
Yeah.
truly give ourselves time to really review and see what's around us, then we truly do connect to self. And when we connect to self and we start liking, caring, and loving ourselves, our
Mhm.
whole energy and frequency changes. And
Yep.
now we start projecting that love out
Yeah.
to others. So
Yeah.
we actually owe it to our society to find that inner love.
Absolutely. It starts within, and
Mm,
then it's in our families, and then it's in our
mm,
communities,
mm,
and then it's in the world.
mm.
It all magnifies out. It's really interesting. The process of writing Weathersfield Road was that for me.
Yes.
That taking that time, that perspective, that healing, that just being with my own story.
Mm.
It was really healing to write for that reason.
I wrote mine a couple of years ago, and it's very cathartic. And it's I was going to audio it and then transcribe it, and I ended up writing it, and it's the reading back.
Yes.
And it's like, what? What? I wrote that?
100%. I do that all the time. Just reading that passage to you, I was like, oh, I wrote that. That's crazy. I
Yeah.
remember that.
You set yourself free to be.
Yes. And that's the beauty of writing. I think
Mm.
it's my favorite thing in the world. I was working on my latest project just up until the buzzer of meeting with you, and I was just like, God, this is fun. Writing is fun.
And isn't life meant to be fun?
Yes.
We have, from you take, I've got three grandchildren under the age of 5,
Wow.
all boys, 5 months, one about to be 5, one about to be 3. Watching them in their discovery of play
Mm.
and sheer joy
Yes.
and silly Billy, and where we can be silly Billies with them, which is, permission to be. Oh, beautiful dog just walked by.
He,
Yeah, your companion.
he heard we were talking about grandchildren. He was like,
Hi.
I am a grandchild as well.
Hello, beautiful. And dogs are everything.
Oh my gosh, they
Um,
really are.
yes, I mean, heart and soul. But watching them, like even just watching a dog or a cat, cats are a little different because they're more aloof.
Yeah.
But watching a dog watching a child play, it reminds you that although there are serious moments in life that we need to take seriously, life is meant to be enjoyed. It is meant to find joy in it. It's
Yes.
meant to find exuberance. Now, that doesn't mean you're meant to be on a high with it all the time. And there is no such thing as perfection, but there are perfect moments in time. And that's what makes them perfect. Like the
Yeah.
whole meadow thing there is a perfect moment in time. And
Yes.
that perfect moment stays with you and feeds you. Now, if everything was perfect, or you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll never actually understand what perfection is.
100%. And it's accepting these perfect moments. And I
Mm,
think that's human nature is to, when there's something good, we want to make it last forever.
yes.
And when there's something bad, we want it to be over really, really quick. And it's hard to just accept those moments as they come and just enjoy them for what they are.
And to understand, it may be happening to you, but change it to happening for you.
Yes, absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
like, what can you discover about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Somebody has victimized you. Do you stay the victim, which is empowering them, or
Yeah.
do you decide to empower yourself and discover your resilience, your tenacity, your strength? And I think it's only when we're tested do we actually understand how strong, how resilient, how courageous, what abilities we have things that we never were challenged to do, and now we're being challenged to do it. And God, you wrote a book, right? You wrote a book.
Sometimes I forget that. Yeah, 100%. I have these moments where it's like, I did that. I wrote a whole book.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
And I have dyslexia, and a brother is a professional, or author and master's level literature teacher. So for me, writing with dyslexia, etc., was
Yeah.
always like, oh no, he's the professional, not me. But I
Mhm.
had a story to tell, and I had to
Absolutely.
tell it in my voice.
Yes.
And people, this is, I think, that what we need to understand. People are going to receive it, whatever they're receiving, at where they're at.
Yes, absolutely. And it's really interesting because I have a lot of people who have really loved the book and left me really, really
Mhm.
lovely reviews. And then I have people who are very offended and upset and did not like the book at all. And it's really interesting to be able to see it as, oh, that's like fully where they are in their
Yeah,
own journey.
yeah. You
Yeah,
mirrored, and they didn't like what was in the mirror.
I get it. Sometimes I read it and I'm like, ooh, I don't like what's in the mirror either.
Yeah, and it's very hard. I remember when I was going to write mine, somebody said, "Well, I can't wait to read all about the pain and suffering." And I went, "No, I'm not writing about the pain and suffering. I'm observing my life and what I've gone through and who I've
Yeah,
become because of the
yeah,
pain and suffering, but I'm not
absolutely.
reiterating the pain and suffering."
Absolutely. And I think it's so important to do it from a place of like strength rather than a place like empowering
Yeah.
yourself rather than empowering the victimizer, quote unquote.
Yes. Yes.
Because otherwise you're just like ripping open your wounds and digging around and causing
Yeah.
more harm.
Exactly. And it's if it's not healing you, it's not going to be healing to a reader, right? So,
Yep.
if you've got through it and you come out at the end of that chapter and go, my God, that was one of the darkest times of my life. But not only did I get through it, but I was able to write through it and be stronger on the other side because of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it talking about the ways that we don't allow ourselves to be
Mm,
victimized. And a lot of that is making the narrative your own. And I encourage writing and journaling for
yes.
everybody.
Yeah, and again, being dyslexic, everybody used to say to me, "Journal, I can't read my own writing," but when I first got a computer at the age of 46,
Mhm.
suddenly I found my voice because I
Yeah,
could autocorrect, and now it will correct for me as I go. Or I
absolutely.
use ChatGPT to correct it. I
Sure.
mean, today I thought I'm having a dyslexic day because I wrote part three times in the wrong order. Right. So I know I get those days. And instead of sweating it, it's okay, autocorrect and don't let that lose your voice.
Yep.
Right. So, whatever challenge or obstacle we have in our way, don't let that dictate what you can or cannot do.
Mhm.
Because, especially, I mean, today you can go on Zoom, you can audio whatever it is you want to do, and you can take the transcription
Mhm.
and edit that transcription afterwards, right? So it's there's so many ways of expressing your voice today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's more accessible with the
Yeah,
technology that we have. I'm very ADHD. And there are, these methods of, focusing for 20 minutes and then taking a 5 minute break, focusing for
yeah,
20 minutes, taking a 5 minute break. Or, I sometimes do the voice to text or
yes,
whatever it is. And my brain moves so fast that
yes.
typing is much easier for me than writing.
I agree, because do. So,
Mhm.
um, and the thing is, I think I'm sure there's research being done on it, but I think that you'll find an awful lot of people with addictive natures are ADD
Oh my
or
gosh, yeah,
ADHD. And a
absolutely.
lot of that is because our brains, our vision, our exploration is way bigger than our participation, right?
Absolutely.
We physically cannot keep up with what's in our mind, right?
Correct.
So it's really finding that outlet where you can spend your vision, right?
Yeah.
And then be able to pause and take it and go, okay, I see the spectrum of the vision. Now what can I actualize from that?
Yes, yes, and something expansive is
Yes,
necessary to engage all the parts of my brain that need to be engaged.
exactly. A lot of people, we do a lot of discussion on this now that, ADHD and with dyslexia, which is very often part of that, is where it's being, I've got a wonderful person coming on in a couple of weeks talking about neurodiversity.
Mhm.
And it's like where it's being treated as a stigma
Mm.
or a disability. I've always used the word differently abled, and she said we don't even use that.
Wow.
Neurodiversity just means that you learn and participate from a different frequency, right, a
I love
different
that.
level.
I
And
love
it's
that.
like understanding that there isn't anything wrong with us.
No.
It's the way we're wired, and like you get ADDs together, and boom, 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 we're off.
100%, 100%. And it's a beautiful thing. I
Yes,
think it's just a different way of thinking and looking at the world. And I think when you have the freedom to work with your brain, which a
yes,
lot of people don't because we
no,
live in a society that's very like 9 to 5 and,
yeah,
clock in, clock out, all of those things. And when it doesn't leave a lot of room for working with your brain,
no,
whereas more creative endeavors do. There are some days where I can't write anything. And there are
exactly.
some
Yeah,
days where it's like,
yeah, it can't come out of you fast enough.
yes,
Yes,
exactly.
and the thing is what we're looking at today is you talk about the 9 to 5, and we talk about the kids from 0 to 5. For example, 0 to 7 is when they learn how to learn.
Yeah.
Right? And when we put them in school and we start saying, you've got to sit at that desk, you've got to conform, you must do as I tell you. No, don't go off in the stratosphere. You've got to come down and do it as I've told you to do it. Well, that I'm a true colors personality. That is a what we call a gold personality that loves order and structure. And we need order and structure, but we don't need it to be the lead.
Yes.
It is the visionaries have to share the vision where the blueprinters can then do the blueprint of that vision for then the constructors to construct that vision. But we
Yes.
can't have the constructors being the leaders, being the teachers, unless they're teaching structure. It can't
Yes.
be only their teachings because then what you're doing is you're leaving out 3 other personality traits and making them feel less than because they don't fit into your thought frame.
Yes. And we need all of these different types of thinkers.
Yes, yes.
We need
That's
them.
what makes the world grow and expand. And like if you're having a business, you want all personality types there. You don't
Yes.
want the same as you. You're going to conflict. You want people that where you're all on the same mission and vibe, but each person brings their own strength.
Hmm.
And that's the thing. And I think, a lot of people that have had addictive natures or self-destructive natures, a lot of it is just not being able to find our vibe tribe where we can share our frequencies
Yes.
and it be not just only celebrated, but just be acted on because people see it. And the people that see it is to go, oh, I see that. Let's do this, or we could do that. And
Yep.
this is a great way that we can construct that. And it's then taking the vision and bringing it to fruition. And a lot of, I think, the time that we have ADHD or anybody else with addiction is not only feeling out of place or they're not enough or nobody cares and loves them, is they haven't found the vibe tribe that where they can all sync together
Yep.
and boost each other up. And I think it's imperative that before you self-destruct, perhaps, go looking for that vibe. The vibe tribe is not somebody else to do drugs with or
No.
alcohol.
Yes.
That's
That's
not
what
your
I
vibe
used to
tribe.
think.
Yeah, that's not the vibe tribe you're talking about. It's the
No.
creative vibe tribe.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that we watch Amelia do in
Mm,
Weathersfield Road is she finds that vibe tribe.
yeah, yeah.
She finds her people and she finds it in a recovery community.
And she kind of finds her own vibe. You have to know your own vibe to find your vibe tribe.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is it because there's no point in finding a vibe tribe if you're not on that frequency? They're not going to resonate with you,
Yes.
right? So everything always goes back to the inner self,
Yes.
healing the inner self. And
Yes.
that means taking the time to nurture, to love, to inquire, to soothe your inner self.
Yeah.
Everybody has a problem with their inner child. If their inner child has not been heard, has
Hmm.
not been loved, or has not been given space,
Yeah.
that inner child is going to play up. Now, in the case of dictatorship and tyranny and oligarchy, if that is the inner child that never felt they were given enough, and it doesn't matter how much they take from other people, it never will be enough,
Hmm.
because that it has to come from within. And with people that go down addictive natures, it's always looking for something that's going to make them feel whole. And
Yes.
instead, it's breaking them up.
Yep. 100%.
But sometimes it's a road that we need to go down as long as we know how to get off it.
Yes, I think it really is. I think, like as you were saying earlier, like the struggles that we experience are there to show us our own
Mm.
resiliency, and to build that character and either act as a blessing or a lesson.
So, Amelia's journey, kind of everything that she goes through, I think it's her journey of what is my resilience? What is my vibe? What am I really here for? And
Yeah.
through the falling and getting back up, the falling and getting back up, and then each time maybe standing up a little longer. And then, as you said, just simply, I mean, it's such a statement in itself, coming home to this house and realizing other people live on the street. We may laugh, but addiction is so self-centered.
Oh, it's the loneliest thing on earth.
Exactly. And you don't think there's anybody else. Nobody's suffering like you're suffering,
Yep, a
because
hundred
it's the
percent.
excuse. And when you start acknowledging there's other people around you, you know you're on the road of recovery.
Yes, it's that terminal uniqueness
Yes.
that is so dangerous. When we just allow ourselves to realize, like, oh, I'm just like everybody else,
Mhm.
and I am unique.
Yes.
It's both at the same time.
My analogy always is we're here to discover what our instrument is, to
Yes,
learn how to play it and play it well. And we can play it as a soloist. However, when we join an orchestra and each one of us, in our own strengths and abilities, play harmoniously together, we become transcendent.
absolutely.
We all want to be part of an orchestra, but
Yes.
we want to be recognized for the instrument that we are.
I love that.
And that, for anyone else to notice who we are, we have to see ourselves first. It's not
Yes.
for someone else to see us, it's
Yes.
for us to see ourselves.
Yeah, and that's really something Amelia learns in the book is that, oh, I'm not going to be able, no matter how much I am loved, I'm not going to be able to feel it until I love myself.
100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, a factional book, taking factional things that happen to you, and the fiction is it's Amelia's story, not yours, and the journey which you take her on. Um, the recovery for yourself in the writing of this book, the reveal of yourself. But for people reading it of any addictive nature, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be sex, drugs, or rock and roll. It
Mhm.
could be you're addicted to housework, right?
Yep.
Anytime you've got an obsession over something and it's got an addictive nature, and I recommend that everybody knows what the human personality trait is. What color are you, Myers-Briggs? What neurodivergent are you? Do you have ADD? Do you have that? It's not a label, it's an understanding.
Yes, I love that.
And when you understand this is how I'm wired and this is where I come from, you allow yourself to navigate from that space. I'm not trying to fit into everybody else's dictation. And already that is a permission that is setting you on the healing road, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
reading this book and going down this journey is how much I'd love people to take notes themselves, or
Mhm.
read a chapter and then journal.
Yes.
All right. And look at that journal afterwards of how much did that chapter influence you.
Mhm.
It may not be exactly the same experience, but did it spark an experience inside of you that you hadn't recognized, that
Yeah.
Amelia has revealed? And
Mhm.
then journal at the end of each chapter. And at the end of the book, look back on your journal.
Mm, I love that. That would be if someone did that and used it as a journal prompts, that would be a dream come true.
Because in that way, it's kind of third party
Sure.
revealing first party.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely.
So this is, you've written this not for the ego, look at me, what I've been through and who I am today, and
Mhm.
I've written a book. There's pride in that because it's an accomplishment from where you've been to where you are now.
Mhm.
But one thing I love, and I found this with veterans, they'll put out a book on a very heavy topic, and then they'll come back and share how that book's been received. And it's been received totally differently
Yeah.
to what they expected,
Yeah.
beyond. And that's the thing with the book you've got now. It's that maybe somebody's reading it because they've got somebody with addiction in their family.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's reading it because they're going through addiction themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe people just want to understand it more, right? Or maybe people are unaware they have an addiction because they think everything is drugs, booze, or sex, um, business. Many people are workaholics, they're addicted. And
Mhm.
it's understanding that we've all got an addictive nature in us. And by reading a book like this, it will reveal no shame, no blame.
Yes.
It's the understanding and awareness of yourself that now you can actually focus on in a
Yes.
way to heal.
Yes. I think a lot of women that I talk to who have read the book are surprised how much
Mm,
they find themselves in
yes.
Amelia.
And as you said, they didn't have to come from drugs or any or sex or anything like that. It's the why of addiction
Yep.
that they're relating to, right? Not the
Yes.
what, the why.
Yes, I love that because it's so easy to compare and be like, oh, well, I'm
Yes,
not that bad, or I
right.
didn't experience it that way. And it's like the why I feel alone.
Yes. And is anybody else obligated to heal your loneliness? No,
Hmm.
that's your job,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
And the thing is, again, analogy, I'm a big analogy person, sunny side of the street,
Yep.
right? You're in the darkness. You feel all alone. You feel nobody else is going through this. Nobody understands what you're going through.
Hmm.
But on the other side of the street are all of these people laughing, loving, enjoying life. And all they're inviting you to do is step onto the sunny road. And
Yep,
they're there to help you, not to do it for you, but to give you the tools and the skills for you to apply, enable you to walk on the sunny side of the street and eventually be on the other end of the street helping someone else. But it's
absolutely.
your free will to come onto that sunny road.
Absolutely.
And what you've done with the book is the invitation to step onto the sunny road.
I love that. Thank you.
And in itself, it becomes part of when we're aware, we care. When we care, we do something about it. But the one thing we can't be is unaware,
Yep.
right? So whether somebody's got somebody with addictive nature, or they've got an addictive nature, or they just want to understand it, because I guarantee you, if you know five people, the four of them,
Yes.
not five,
Honest,
has an addictive nature somewhere along the line there. And if we
honestly.
understand it and where it's coming from, there's more compassion and empathy, more understanding, less judgment, less criticism, less shame. And if we can get rid of those things, we're shedding light on the core of the problem and not blaming the person who's going through the problem.
Yes,
So very, very important.
it is. It's absolutely important.
So the book is out. Is it just in paperback, or is it ebook, paperback, audio?
Yeah,
What format is it in?
yeah, so we've got an audiobook that's available on Audible. It's available on Spotify. It's available on Apple Books. We also have the ebook available on Kindle as well as Apple Books. And we have the hard copy, which is available on Amazon and bookshop.org. You can also order hard copies on my website if you want them signed and want a little goodie to go with them.
And your website is, and your social medias are?
Absolutely. Anna-writes.com is my website, and my social media is Millennial Author Anna.
And that's for all of them, your Instagram, Facebook, Substack, and TikTok.
It is.
And so all of the links are going to be here on your show page. Um, I always say that a book is something that kind of keeps on giving. It's,
Hmm.
this is the reason why the genre is called an author's kiss, because
Yes.
it is like an embrace, right?
Yeah.
Whether you've just read a novel that's a fun novel, or you've gone on an adventure, or it's been a reveal of something more profound, it is an embrace, and it's something that I want people to feel afterwards, that it lingers,
Yes.
right? And then they talk to you. I'm very much about having book clubs. I also am very much about having podcast clubs. Listen
Yes.
to a podcast together, take notes, and share, because
Yeah.
everybody's got something different out of it, right?
100%.
And so in this case, people can have a book club, and then do the podcast listening to you and then do the
Yes.
conversation.
That would be awesome. That
But
sounds
the whole
great.
point of it is don't keep it to yourself. We
Mhm.
are meant to share, not impose, but share. And there's a difference there. You can talk about a book that you've read that really is absolutely wonderful. If you highly recommend it to someone, or if you know somebody's terribly receptive, you can buy it for them. Birthday is Christmas,
Yep.
whatever. But don't impose on it. Be the share the illumination of what it's giving you. But
Hmm.
unless that person's ready, A, they're not going to pick up the book, or they might be offended.
Yeah.
So it's knowing whether it's an imposition or whether it's a gift. And but talking about it and how it's made you feel is a door opener for them.
Yep. Absolutely.
But I think, like, teachers need to read this because they're going to see it in their class, especially,
Or,
middle and high school. Parents, I think, need to read this. They can recognize it in their children.
mhm.
This is no blame on parenting, because I made my mistakes with my children. We raise our children from the knowledge we have. And
Yes.
hindsight is always 2020, but it's not always 2020 when you're going through it, right?
Yes. Everyone's just doing the best that they can with the information they've been given.
Exactly. So the whole point is there is no shame or blame, no comparison or competing. This
Mhm.
is about revealing. It's about embracing.
Yeah.
It is about healing, and it is about empowering,
Mhm.
right? And when we embrace that, but this is the thing, reading books like this not only can be entertaining, but at the same time, that awareness. And I think more and more people become aware, the more we care,
Yeah.
and the more accepting we are, and less judgmental and less demanding. And I think we could certainly take that judgment and that demanding and that control away. Let's put that off in a nice little box somewhere and put it up on a shelf,
Yep.
because all it's done is cause disconnect for humanity. And if we wish to connect again, we've got to do it on a level where we accept who we are from where we are, and
Mhm.
not from what society deems us to be.
Sure. Absolutely.
So really, really important. So you can find everything on Anna-Writes, ANNA dash Writes at WRITES.com, and or the millennial author Anna, which is Instagram, Facebook, Substack, and TikTok. Book on Amazon, and you've got the audio on Spotify, and whatever way you want to hear it or read it. And I'm still very much a person, snuggle up with a book and leave me alone and let me read, right? But some people like to listen while they're going to work or doing the housework, whichever way. But please bear in mind, at the end of a chapter, take some notes.
Mm,
Right, just whether it's a journal or writing some notes, or just going into your audio and going, this chapter made me feel, or brought this up, or this, that. And then at the end of the book, go back and listen to it all or read it all.
I
Because
love
I
that.
think that you will really find it's revealed so much about yourself,
Absolutely.
that which is part of the reason why you wrote it, is to
Yeah.
share how beautifully, flawsomely awesome we are when we choose to love ourselves.
Yes. I love that so much.
Thank you for writing the book.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for coming here and sharing it with us, because it's really important that we do share these things, but
Mhm.
writing it in a way that, is Amelia's story,
Mhm.
um, it obviously for some people, but how much is you? How much is you? It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. It doesn't
doesn't
matter,
matter. Yep.
right? It's how much really is you.
Yes, exactly. How much is you?
Yeah, that's really the question. And it's like, and again, and I think if we start taking comparison, judgment, and shame out of the equation, we take away control society has on the dictation of who we should be, and it allows us to be the beautiful human beings that we are meant to be.
Agreed.
And we want to step into our light, we've got to face our darkness. Right.
Agreed.
So
Uh,
thank you so much, Anna, for sharing here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. And to everyone else out there, remember, you are beautifully flawsome, right? The flawsome is we've all got little flaws and quirks. When we embrace that and realize how awesome we are as a human being, then we can really begin to thrive. And thriving is what we're meant to do. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you to listen to right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Come and hear the illumination that's going to shed light on your path.
Find your path with the knowledge of others.